everybody. When I was doing my animated Oscars series, I would frequently say that this film made it into my top 50 animated countdown. And that was because I did a series on my blog where I listed my top 50 animated films of all time. And these were not necessarily the best, these were just my favorite. And so certain ones like Pinocchio, which is a masterpiece, it's just not a particular favorite of mine, but I do like it. I just didn't make this list. So I thought it would be fun with NaNoWriMo to share this list with you guys, and you can obviously go to the blog and cheat and look ahead, but I thought I would share it with my YouTube followers as well as my blogger followers. So this video is the start of that, and I'm going to give you my 50 through 41. And I have to say at the beginning, I completely forgot when I was making this list to include the Triplets of Belleville. That was a huge omission. It definitely belongs on this list. So put that in somewhere probably around the 20 mark-ish. Maybe I'll do like a 20A or something like that, because it definitely belongs on the list. Let's start with number 50. Number 50 on my top 50 animated countdown is Watership Down. And this is a challenging film. It is bloody, it is brutal, but it also has a lot to say based on the Richard Adams novel. It's about political systems, and I was political science graduate in my undergrad, and so I find it really fascinating to see these rabbits come in contact with a dictatorship and with a Marxist regime and different things, and how they respond, and so it's a really interesting, unique, different, beautifully animated film. Number 49, I have Ponyo, and this is a Studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki film. I love the animation. It's sort of a take on Little Mermaid story. I got some flack on this from my blog followers. A lot of people don't like the story. I like the story. I think it's sweet and interesting, and I like all the characters, and I like the bond between Ponyo and the little boy. I think that's sweet. It's so beautiful to look at. I love anything with the water or with the ocean. That's going to be a big win for me. And so Ponyo made my list. Number 48, I have Lady and the Tramp, and this is Walt Disney animated classic, and it has great jazz music. The romance between Lady and Tramp is very sweet. It has a very Norman Rockwell, old-fashioned sensibility to it. It's just very pleasant and beautiful to watch. Great side characters in Jock and Trusty and Trixie and everybody at the pound. It makes you cry, it makes you laugh, it kind of has it all. Number 47, I have Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. This is, of course, the feature film from the animated team at Aardman that does the Wallace and Gromit shorts, and they recently did Shaun the Sheep. This is a really funny, beautifully animated, with great attention to detail as far as the stop motion, great vocal performances. Of course, Gromit is such a likable character. The bunnies are really cute. It's just a real enjoyable, entertaining film. Number 46, I have How to Train Your Dragon 2. I hardly made the list because I just think it is so beautiful. The animation is gorgeous, and particularly the flying scenes, I could just watch them for days and days, are so pretty. I do think that it gets a little lost in sort of the confusing story of the alphas, and I don't like the way that the mother is sort of given a free pass, leaving her family. I didn't really like that, but I thought it was a fun adventure and sort of an epic feel of like a Lord of the Rings kind of a feel to the story, which was nice in an animated film, and it's just so beautiful to look at. 45, I have Charlotte's Web, and this was done by the Hanna-Barbera folks. Has a great voice cast. I have Debbie Reynolds and Paul Lynde and a number of other people. It's got good songs by the Sherman Brothers. It, of course, tells the E.B. White story of the pig and spider that become friends. And it's just a total delight. If you haven't seen it, it's much better than the recent live-action version. Number 44, I have Atlantis, The Lost Empire, and this is definitely a unique one for me. A lot of people don't like this movie, but I do. I think it's a really fun adventure. I really like the world building that they did. I really like that they created this whole world with the language and history, and I think that's fun and interesting. And I think that, yeah, Milo was a little bit boring, but I love the team that surrounds him. I think they're funny. I think they're unique. They're not the kind of characters that you see all the time in a Disney animated film. I like the steampunk elements because I feel like they add something to the character of the story without being distracting to the plot, which was a problem I had with Treasure Planet. They just kind of add a flair, but aren't distracting. And to me, like I said, I think it's funny. I think it's exciting. I think it's a good adventure. I think it's beautifully animated. So for me, it made the list. 43, I have Paranorman, and this to me was such a surprise. It has some like real genuine scares. Like some of the zombie scenes are really scary, but then it also has some really good humor. This is more made for teenagers than for little children. It's probably too scary for little children, and some of the jokes are probably a little too mature for that age group. I really like the animation. I really like their take on the bully narrative, and I like that sort of the person who was bullied has now become the bully, and like what is Norman going to do to try to solve the situation. I think it's really tense. I think it's beautiful in the segment where he is interacting with the villain, I guess. It's got a lot of nice heart to it. Good vocal performances all the way across the board. 42, I have The Land Before Time. And you'll find on this list that if there are any films that I am a bit nostalgic for, it's probably the films from the 80s, because we didn't get very many animated films in the 80s. And so when I was a little girl, a film like Oliver and Company, maybe not the greatest film in the world, but it was the one film, or we had two. The year of Land Before Time, we had Land Before Time and Oliver and Company, and that was basically it. And there were some times, like in 1987, the only animated films, major releases that we got was The Brave Little Toaster and the G.I. Joe movie, which I wouldn't have been interested in. So there really wasn't any major animated film in that year. So now we have 20 animated films released in 2014 that were submitted for Academy Award consideration. And so something like Land Before Time is even extra special, where I think maybe now if it was released, it would get kind of lost in the shuffle. But I think it's beautifully animated, sweet story about these dinosaurs, these little dinosaurs that are trying to find their way. And it has good music by James Horner, and of course the Don Bluth animation. And it's sad, but it's engrossing. And I have fond memories of it from when I was little. Number 41 is going to surprise a lot of people. Number 41, I have Toy Story 2. I have Toy Story 2 so low in this countdown. I gave it an A+ in my review. I love it. I love all of these films in the top 50. But the reason why I have it so low is I do think it is a little bit weaker than the other two Toy Story films because it separates the team, and I prefer the Toy Story films when we get the whole team together for most of the movie. And I think it's a little bit less artistically ambitious than the other two, I think because they were rushing it so much, than 1 and 3. I love Jesse's song, and I love the decision that Woody is being forced to make here, where he's deciding how he wants to be remembered and how he wants to live his life. I think that's really, really good. And I think the humor is super great. I love Barbie as introduction to the series. I think that the two Buzzes are really funny. I think it's a pretty good villain in Al, the toy collector. And so it's a great movie. It just, for me, this is where it ended up on this list. So there you go. So that is my 50 through 41. And I think they're all great films. So if you haven't seen them, go check them out. And if you have seen them, put in the comments what you think. And thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel. Check out my blog. And like I said, you can look at the whole 50 list. It's already up there on the blog if you want. Or you can wait until my next video. So thanks so much. I'll talk to you later. Bye.